Hi, welcome to this podcast. Today we are going to discuss a short conversation about innatism. We have some special guests. I am Miranda Sanchez.
I am Fer Gonzalez.
And I'm Luis Velasquez.
Okay, welcome, guys. So let's start. Innatism is like the idea that we have something in our brain or in our mind that make us acquire language or learn things. And this theory begins with Noam Chomsky. It was a theory that opposed to the behaviorism that the behaviorism explained that not only experience and sense is necessary to acquire language. So let's see what this guest says about this theory. Fer, what do you think? What is your posture?
Well, I actually agree a lot with Plato's ideas. He was an idealist philosopher, and he actually was like a precursor of a lot of issues that even though he discussed them like a lot of years ago, they actually remain very current. And among all of the things that he talked about, he had like this theory that is the theory of forms. This theory has like this constant idea that the body and the soul are like related. Um, in the ideas of Plato, he said that the body is like mortal, is like a prison of the soul, and on the other hand, the soul is like immortal and has like a lot of qualities and a lot of things, interesting things to do. Well, he has like this constant idea that the soul has like to get through some sort of cycle, and for example, he had like this perception about the reality. And he said that the reality or physical world is like inferior, is like not as good as the world that is the Platonic world. On this Platonic world is where all of the ideas remain on their purest form. So he had like this constant idea that even though we see things in our world, they are not as valuable and as pure as they could be on the ideal world. So of course, he had like this constant idea, this constant theory that the soul has to get through a lot of things to get knowledge. He didn't believe on this perception that we have of of knowledge and of acquisition and learning. He actually believed that the soul has to get through some sort of place where all of the ideas are like on their purest form, and when the body dies, the soul can get through that place, and that place is where the soul like soaks in a lot of knowledge, a lot of pure knowledge. Afterwards, the soul has to get through some sort of river, the river of forgetting, where the soul like of course forgets all of the things that the soul learned. And afterwards is where the soul can get a body and live their lives that we know as the human life. However, the knowledge over Plato's ideas is not knowledge, is more like reminiscence. He had like this idea that knowledge is more like a way of the soul to remember all of the things that the soul saw in this Platonic world. So there is like not a real learning, but it's like a real remembering all of the things that the soul was able to see and was able to acquire during that time at the ideal world. However, Plato didn't have like a serious idea over language acquisition. He wasn't that interested, probably, but he was very interested on language. For example, he explained a lot on his dialogues that language is like this constant relationship of language and language users, and he was like very concerned about the words that we use to describe certain how can I say it, certain concepts. For example, what does that mean? Why do we have to say that something is named because of something, you know? So he had like this constant idea that
Yes.
how can we define if something is true or if something is false,
Yes.
or why do we have to perceive an object, a person as a word, you know? So he wasn't that interested on language acquisition, but he was more interested, I would say, in morphology, in this kind of way of discussing that why is our language structured the way it is. So yeah, I would say that I
Mm,
am very interested in Plato's ideas. What about
yes,
you,
I agree with
Oscar?
you.
Do you have like what? I'm sorry.
I was going to say that I agree with you. You mentioned something about the soul and the mind, like the body. I think that's true, no? We have this unconscious process in our brain, and not always we are aware of them. So it's like how our language works in our brain. It's like wow.
Yeah, of course. It's like an unconscious process that is
Yes.
constant. Even like through a lot of authors, is there is like a process that we are not aware of, but it's still like working. So yeah, I would say so. Hey Oscar. What do you think about this topic? Like, do you have any author in specific that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I agree with Chomsky's concept about universal grammar and language acquisition device, and I think that it could be the answer for why the question that why children are so good when they acquire a language or they learn a language, and I think is this theory is it could be true opposite the behaviorisms that say that we born with like a blank page in our mind, and for support my opinion, I watched two videos, and the first one is on Netflix, and it's about group of scientists that make and design an experiment, and the result that they shows that babies have an idea about complex ideas. For example, they can identify the human voice. Mm, for example, the concept of gravity. And the other video is on YouTube, and it's about how babies uh, make the same sound before they start to speak a specific language. What do you
Wow,
think about
it sounds very
Miranda?
interesting.
Yes, I think that I agree with Chomsky too. I mean, it's obvious that there is something in our brain that allows to acquire something like knowledge or language. But I have this question of how does it works on feral children, for example, um, a child who has no interaction with others and is away from human contact and doesn't have experience of human language or behavior. So it's like what happened with them is if there is something in their brains that um, make they learn how both theories are right. The theory that says that there is something in brain, and this other theory that says that we need sense to learn because some ideas are not innate and yes, we have the environment, we have the help with others and the interaction, and that's all we need to do with order to understand this theory. Or what do you think, for?
I actually agree. I would say that this theory has like a lot of things to involve. So of course, it's very interesting to see a lot of authors discussing about this topic in specific because it's something that we see a lot of times among, like, I don't know, among language teaching, for example. Like it is a topic that remains very current, even though we are not aware of it. It's something that we are constantly around it.
Yes, and I think that it's important to understand this theory, because as a teachers we have to know the difference to make this process of learning easily for children and to have a adequate way of teaching. So yes, we have to see the importance of both theories.
Yes, of course. Well, I would say that overall, innatism is like a theory that was developed all over the ages since the beginning of human conscious about some complex topics. So I would say that this theory made like a lot of contributions, and among the contributions that this theory made is of course teaching, just like you said. Like as teachers, we have to be aware of a lot of things if we want to have like this quality teaching. And among all of those that stuff that we need to be aware of is of course innatism. There are a lot of methods and a lot of theories that are aware of innatism and use it, even though it's a topic that some people may consider it like old. I would say that even it's like an old topic, it remains very current and it's an issue that we really need to discuss. And well, another topic that I would like to point out is that nature and is that we really do not need this kind of fight against about nature versus nurture, because I would say that they complement each other, right? Because nature, even if we are born with some qualities, we actually gonna need environment. Like one way or another, we're gonna need environment if we want those qualities to to develop, to fully
Mm,
develop. So they
Uh,
complement each other. And well, I don't know
yes,
if you have anything to add.
yes. Actually, I was going to say something because you said that we have the environments, right? So we know that if children have this biological trigger for language acquisition, if they don't have like nobody around them, they won't be activated this biological trigger, and they won't learn anything. So yes, it's important that both theories complement each other, and we have to understand how it works, right?
Yeah, and I think that Chomsky's Chomsky's theory is useful when you have to explain why babies speak a certain language, and behavioring is useful when you want to explain why how environment and interact with others is necessary for develop our language.
Okay, guys. So thank you for your information, for talking about this interesting topic. I think that is all for today. Thank you for the people that is listening to us. We are going to discuss subjects more interesting or more actuals, but we'll let you know when we are going to discuss them. So thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to work with you guys. See you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. See you.